So just packing up from this apartment that I've been staying in here in Baku, Azerbaijan, it's been amazing, but it's on to the next adventure. And I actually want to apologize because I realized that I haven't been doing the one thing, which when I was on my journey of wake up, grow up, show up, learning how to show up in the world, learning how to be the person, learning how to have transformational change, heal my insecurities, go out and actually be a bit more social. One of the biggest things that I had in my journey was I always had a mentor that was sharing and teaching what they were doing. And that's what I want to do now. The main practices that I do now is, luckily, because I've done so much work when it's come to shadow work and healing unconscious beliefs, I can do it on the fly when I'm doing other things. And what that looks like is every time I have a disturbance, something which I think will be valuable for you is to realize that not every disturbance needs unconscious rewiring. Not every disturbance needs unconscious healing. In fact, what we can do is we can broadly split them into the polarity of two. What these two are is there's one disturbance, which is something which is just a bit of anxiety, or it's just a bit of fear, it's just a bit of trepidation, it's just a little bit of something where we don't feel fully aligned, we don't feel perfect. That's actually something to take a mental note of. We don't want to be suppressing anything for ourselves, but what we do want to do is we want to continue living our life and not letting it affect us, okay? What I see as a big problem that a lot of people are doing is that they are categorizing all disturbances as bad, or they're categorizing all disturbances as something that we shouldn't pay attention to. For me, in my own practice, how I evaluate this is this a 10 out of 10 disturbance? Okay. Is this a 9 out of 10 disturbance? If it's anything less than a 9 or 10 disturbance, and I'm doing a task which I have to do, whether it's something for the business, whether it's something for my health, whether it's something for my other goals, such as meditation or learning more about researching more about how to make this content better and the product better that I'm delivering for my one-on-one clients, whether it's in my own mentorship work where I just got off a call with my mentor, whether it's any of this stuff, unless it's a 9 and a 10, it's not going to stop me from doing anything. And even in a 9 and a 10, there's still ways, which I'm going to get into later, where you can make it go back down to a 7 or an 8 and just crush for it, because sometimes we don't always have the opportunity to be able to just stop and do inner work, right? So that's the first type of disturbance. The second type of disturbance is something where it doesn't necessarily have to be a 9 and a 10, although that's included. For instance, if something's a 9 or a 10 out of 10 disturbance, that almost always is a massive shadow coming up. And this is a great opportunity for us to embrace the hero's journey, have a bit of courage, have a bit of embracing the fear, and actually embracing fear and going through the path of most resistance is one of the ways to grow masculine polarity the most. But that's clearly a sign that we've got to go into this if there's not more pressing issues. But what can also be is something which just doesn't go away. And when I say go away, it doesn't mean that it's lingering after like 10 minutes. It means that it's lingering hour after hour, day after day. Because that's what it can be. Sometimes shadows can be really insidious. And for the more advanced practitioners out there, if you're one of my one-on-one clients, I would love to have a conversation. And this is interesting to you. Obviously, we can have a conversation about this, but I'm addressing it here. Is these kind of more insidious shadows are actually usually blind spot shadows, okay? So the first 9 or 10 out of 10 shadows are like insecurity shadows. It's when we have a need for validation, or we are getting picked on, or it reminds us of this time that we were bullied or whatever. That's like a shadow insecurity. A shadow blind spot is when there's something that we're not even aware of yet. And it's those things which actually have the biggest ROI for me right now. Because me in my own journey right now, I've been triggered so much. I've gone through the path of most resistance so much. I'll make a video about it, but the path of most resistance is doing whatever's the most intimidating. For me, when I was younger, this was about approaching or talking to women that I found very attractive in whatever situation it occurred to. It's also when I started my own business, and I never started a business before, and I was doing it in a foreign country, in a continent I'd never even been to before. That's like whatever's the most intimidating. Whatever's the most difficult is something like competing at the World Championships or the European Championships, my own journey in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And whatever's the most boring is whatever is something which is really boring and repetitive. That's like doing the stuff that you need to, outreach, training, doing drills, all that kind of stuff, right? So from building all of that, you have to deal with a lot of shadows, which is why all of these practices, they connect with each other, okay? all of this stuff is together. Don't worry, this channel, if you pay attention to this channel long enough, it will do all of this kind of stuff for you in a sense, right? I try to make it as structured as possible, but I got triggered all the time, right? All the time. Don't ever let it seem like I didn't get triggered. I got triggered all of the time, okay? But because I got triggered all the time, because I had the right mentors, because I had the right frameworks, because I had the right practices, which I still adhere to right now, I was able to deal with a lot of shadow insecurities. I still get them every once in a while. Last time I got them was the start of this year, maybe January was like the last time. And then before that was maybe November or something like that. So what, I'm getting like them like one every couple of months, every 3 months, every 4 months. Like a real big like shadow insecurity where it's like a shadow crash and I'm getting a bit constricted. Luckily now, because of TWIM and meditation, which is a practice which I've talked about extensively, I'm able to get a bit of a bird's eye view on that and not get sucked into it, okay? But it still comes up, right? But the thing which I'm focusing on the most right now is these more kind of insidious blind spot shadows, excuse me. And what that is, like I've alluded to, is it's basically something which lingers. It's like a slight unease, it's a slight on edgeness, it's a slight kind of, oh, I feel like there's a kind of a bit of a disturbance, but I can't quite put it into words. I recently just had a call actually with a client who started the conversation with, let's work on this. We're working on a bunch of stuff with being more socially confident, not feeling intimidated, even though he was, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's very well respected. He's competed at the Worlds, Euros, all this kind of stuff, but still gets a bit stifled when it comes to anything that isn't teaching, right? He wanted to go into something there, but then I noticed something in the way he was saying, into the way he was speaking, and I was like, oh, is there something else that you wanted to bring up? Maybe there is. And that's when he was like, oh, I don't really know what's happening, but that's why I didn't want to bring it up yet. But it's been happening over the 2 weeks, and it's about how I handle arguments in my relationship. He's got like an amazing relationship, amazing girlfriend, and it's super loving. It's just, they argue every once in a while. And on that call, we were able to piece together what was actually happening. And what it was is one of these blind spots, one of these shadow blind spots. It was a massive blind spot. It still came from insecurity, okay? But it was a blind spot in the sense that he didn't even know how to articulate it. That is the stuff which, for more advanced people, I mean, how did I almost lose my balance? That's the stuff where, for advanced people, a lot of the ROI is. And if you're watching this, you've probably gone through a few heroes' journeys, let's be honest. If you're watching this content, especially up until now, it's because you've been promised all this stuff, but you haven't quite got the transformation you were promised. You feel like 70, 80% of the way there, but it's in that last 20, 30% where the real inner transformational change happens and can happen, okay? And part of the reason is because we're still a bit unaware of what's going on, like it was happening with this client. We still have some kind of idea what's happening, but we can't like put our finger on what the specific issue is, which is quite common because normally when you've got to this stage, stuff like just realizing that I don't feel good about yourself is something that you already know. And it's probably something that you're already actively working on. If you need help with that, I've got my most practical guide to shadow work on the internet in the description below. It's 3 hours of content, or it's 2.5 hours of content done with my one-on-one students as a live stream. Go ahead and download it. It really is the best thing that I've seen on the market that's out there for free. But blind spots is kind of where the money is, okay? Because as you get more advanced, your issues get more ethereal and they get more complex. With issues that are more complex, it requires a different skill set in order to overcome them. And that's what I've been really hammering into. And when I've been doing this, it opened up so much stuff around how I view business, how I view money, all of this stuff, which wasn't necessarily the first thing that I wanted to work on. It came up when I started looking and holding these blind spots with the light and the attention, which gets rid of them. And when I did that, I feel like a totally different person now, even on my journey. Okay, so just some updates about my life, about my practices, what I'm working on, what's coming alive with me. Hopefully that's relatable. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you want to have your own version of doing this process, then like I said, I can't recommend my free product enough. I'll send you an email that will send the product right over, and then I'll send you another email. It'll be from me. It won't be automated. Just to check how you're doing, make sure you have the best customer service. And what I'll leave you with, as I'm leaving here, Baku, Azerbaijan, and I feel a little bit sad about, is make sure that you're not using shadow work as an excuse, or unconscious healing as an excuse to not do what you need to do, to not be productive, um, to not want to start something new, or even to overcomplicate it. You know, like I have a very advanced student, and we only just, after like a year or so working together, and we've done some really great work, and he's literally a different person, he was like, let me stop watching porn, right? Don't overcomplicate it. And he thought it was this big complicated issue, and it was something that we're going to have to tackle, when really it's just like a normal habit behavior. You know, we ran him through 1 or 2 sessions, and then it was gone, right? We don't need to overcomplicate our work or our progress or our process, right? Just go ahead, get cracking. Don't let shadow work hold you back. It's a tool, remember. That's something that I had to learn a lot. Sometimes I wanted to go into the unconscious rewiring and no longer have this belief, and all that stuff is great. But the reason I was doing that is because I was actually avoiding the work I needed to do. That's all from me. That's all from Baku, Azerbaijan. I'll probably do an insight video on the travels that I'm going through, because it's a cool process. I might as well document it. Very warmly, Aaron.